What's up, folks? You are tuned into the Failing Frequency. I am Ethan.
And I'm Mike.
And we like talking about Star Trek.
Yeah.
We got some news for you from unsettling reproductions of some classic Star Trek icons.
Mm-hmm.
Literal gift from the gods of tits and wine.
Yeah.
To a harbinger of things to come.
Oh, menacing.
Yes. And then we're going to get into the most recent episode of Star Trek Prodigy, which was called... Oh, man, I remembered the name of the episode last week.
Masquerade was this episode.
Masquerade. I knew it had a Q in it.
Yeah. Not actual Q, but it had...
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we get into any of that, how you doing, Mike?
I'm good. I am... Again, it's another week of me trying not to fall asleep. I've done 45 hours work this week so far, and it's a Thursday evening, so I'm slightly giddy. But yeah, living the dream. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good. I know the feeling. When you're tired, but like to stay awake, your body's like consuming chunks of your brain, and it leaves you kind of silly.
Yeah, I was forgetting words all today. I was like, what's that thing that we use? And, something that I've said for the last 10 years and just not remembered it. Just,
Yep.
Brain dead.
I know. Yep, I know that feeling. I work in a Japanese restaurant, and the other day, the word teriyaki just wasn't there.
Yeah.
Just wasn't there.
No. It's cruel, the brain. It's cruel. Just when you need words.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But before we get into the news, before we get into the Star Trek related news, just want to take a moment to talk about some recent events that happened over in the United States, home of all the best and worst things in the world. On Saturday, 19th of November, a dickhead, asshole, piece of shit, took it upon himself to go into a gay bar in Colorado by the name of Club Q, and opened fire into a crowd of people, killing 6 and wounding like 20, over 20 others.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
It is.
It's not the first time we've heard a story like this coming out of the States.
Every week. Not necessarily targeted like this one was, but every week there's a shooting, isn't there? So.
Yeah. But, you bring up a good point there. This was a targeted shooting. This was an attack on the queer community. I guess I just wanted to take a moment. If anyone
wants to know why, there's the interview with the shooter's dad, and it is, disgusting.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So relieved, so visibly relieved that his son wasn't gay. That
he was only shooting up a gay bar. He wasn't there for himself.
Honestly, what a piece of shit. This is the problem. There is a sickness in the world, but like in America, it really seems to be like prevalent. And it is a sickness characterized by intolerance and xenophobia. Despite interracial marriage being legal for 60 odd years, despite gay marriage being legal for something like 7 years. In the past few weeks, members of the Senate voted against codifying interracial marriage and gay marriage.
Disgusting. Or how they should be called, marriage.
So exactly. So while those institutions are still around, there is nothing stopping the federal government from taking that right away.
Yeah.
Despite trans athletes being able to compete in the Olympics for 20 odd years. Young members of the trans community are excluded from certain activities. They're told that they don't belong. And these are all forms of oppression. To quote the most recent finale of Star Wars Andor, oppression is a mask for fear. There is a very large, very loud portion of the population over in the United States that are terrified of progress. They are afraid that equality for others somehow takes something away from them. But that fear it's a child's fear. It's the kind of thing that a child is afraid of. I want what they've got. Oh, they want what I've got. It's a sign of a total lack of maturity on a very large group of people. But if there's one thing I know about queer folks, it's that, you know, just by virtue of being who they are, these are, you know, young gay kids, queer kids, they are forced to mature at a steeper rate than most other people. And that's the only way that you can kind of, you know, fight back without, you know, actual fighting, you know, in the face of oppression, in the face of fear, is to show a brave face. And it's, you know, to grow past them. Someone giving you shit, you need to tell that motherfucker to grow the fuck up.
And I think we'll get on to very similar messaging, because Trek has always had very left-wing views, hasn't it? I think we'll get on to similar messaging when we talk about the episode later on.
Absolutely.
In this evening.
Yeah. These people, they don't want that. They don't want the message that Star Trek portrays. The idea of infinite diversity and infinite combinations. It's the kind of thing that scares them, because it's not what they know.
Yeah.
And a sentiment that Mike is quite fond of saying, you know. You've said this a few times, which is if you don't agree with that message,
bye. Oh yeah, bye.
Yeah.
There are plenty of other. Unfortunately, there are plenty of other videos on YouTube and plenty of other podcasts that have, Trek's ruining Trek by being woke. You know, I'm sure those spaces would love a member like yourself. We wouldn't. So goodbye, so long, farewell. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. Super sad shit, man. But let's get away from the sad stuff. And let's
go back to a better
be happy.
future.
Yeah, let's be happy. We have to be happy, Mike. We have to be happy, Mike, because it's Christmas, Mike. It's the Christmas season, Mike. And we all have to be happy for Christmas. We have to be happy for Christmas because there's the Christmas music playing in the supermarkets now. And the children will be there. And we all have to smile for the children, Mike, because it's fucking Christmas. If Christmas is your thing, then Star Trek's got you covered. Good old Paramount Plus. Good old Paramount Plus.
Good old Paramount Plus. That service that keeps on giving.
They certainly do keep giving us something. They have put together a little playlist of some Christmas-themed episodes of Star Trek. Now, Christmas isn't really
Wait,
a
was
thing
it
in
Christmas
Star Trek.
themed? I thought it was Thanksgiving themed. They put up
holiday. Well, that's
holidays?
no. You're right there. It's holiday themed. Holiday themed because, you know, it's American and it's all about the holidays. From Thanksgiving through Christmas. It's Thanksgiving today, I believe. Yep, Thanksgiving today. So, I think. So, happy...
thanks to you, Americans,
Yeah, happy day of colonial aggression. Oh, no, that's Independence Day.
No, what are we supposed to call Thanksgiving now?
Fuck Christopher Columbus Day.
Fuck Christopher Columbus Day, or
fuck Christopher Columbus Day.
Native,
indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But so have you seen what episodes they've put up for this?
I haven't. Have they put up the one actual Thanksgiving episode?
Well. So in TOS we have for Thanksgiving we have Charlie X.
Yeah, that's the Thanksgiving one, I think. Kirk mentions Thanksgiving turkeys or whatever.
He mentions it. See, this is the thing. Like Christian holidays aren't really a thing in Star Trek, are they?
No. Weddings
we don't... We have weddings.
Christianized weddings.
People talk about things, but we never get like a themed, Star Trek's secular as fuck. So, they don't... They tend not to celebrate like holidays. Especially holidays that were appropriated by the church from native pagan populations.
I'm thinking Generations and Voyager.
So we've got. I'll read you. So we've got the Thanksgiving episode is Charlie X.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got 3 Christmas episodes and 1 New Year's episode. So for Christmas we have Dagger of the Mind, TOS episode. It's Mad Scientist 1. Devil's Due, Hail Ardra.
What?
And Tapestry. Okay, so I'm gonna show you why. So we've got Dagger of the Mind, the TOS episode, because someone mentions Christmas. They mention a Christmas party. There's the science officer. Kirk runs into her at the transporter, and he's like, "Oh,
did he hooked up at the Christmas party?"
They hooked up at the Christmas party.
Mm.
Hey, we've all been there. We've all been there, man. Then we've got Devil's Due, because it begins with Data on the holodeck doing a scene from A Christmas Carol.
Of course, yeah.
And similar vein to A Christmas Carol is why we've got Tapestry. Christmas Carol, It's a Wonderful Life, that whole thing.
Mm. And giving thanks for where you are and what has happened to you, I suppose. So was that it for the Christmas?
That's it for Christmas, and then for New Year's we have 1159, the Voyager episode,
where it's not actual Janeway; it's her ancestor.
It's her ancestor.
Okay, I get that. Yeah. That's the Millennium episode, I think.
Yeah. But we don't get the one, like you say, the 2 times we have actually visibly seen Christmas in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Which is in the Voyager episode Death Wish, where the USS Quinn. Voyager, with Quinn, where these literally turned into a Christmas ornament on a Christmas tree.
Yep. Like the Christmas ornament you can buy where it is Spock dying. Great Christmas ornaments. Up here now.
Yeah, man. And also, due to distribution rights, Star Trek Generations is over on HBO Max. That's why we're not getting.
Congratulations, Paramount.
Yeah. So the actual scene that takes place on Christmas.
Yeah, on weird Victorian Christmas.
But so what do you think of that little playlist? What do you think of that Christmas playlist?
It's very heavily TOS weighted, I would say. There's...
Well, it's TNG more than anything. We've got 2 TNG episodes. Well, actually, we've got even split of TNG and TOS, and the 100% wrong episode of Voyager to have chosen.
I know why they've done it, because it was... the countdown to the Millennium episode, wasn't it? which was still a far off thing whenever that episode came out. It's like 1995-ish. So it was I don't know, it's Christmassy in some regards, or New Year's-y in some regards. I don't know what other episode, other than Death Wish, what I would pick from Voyager, but nothing DS9 again, nothing Enterprise. And for trying to push the new shows, nothing from the new shows either.
Nope. So all in all, I would say, as we're a couple of guys where we have playlists. We have Star Trek playlists.
Yeah.
We did a Halloween playlist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we will do a Christmas playlist this year, just because Paramount Plus have done one, and if we copy them, what does that say about us?
Yeah. We've just discussed our Christmas playlist,
Yeah, we just did it. Yeah, that. Watch this shit and watch Generations and Death Wish as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel thoroughly underwhelmed by this playlist.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? And I suppose you're going to find that because of how secular, how it avoids all the secular stuff anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But really, you could do a load for Thanksgiving.
I feel like, talking about secular holidays, 11:59 doesn't that have introduced Ancestors Day or something? That's Star Trek equivalent to Life Day?
Yeah. That's the very flimsy, very, the tissue paper plot that gets you into the past, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine if we had a Star Trek holiday special.
Yeah.
Klingons, they're all talking in Klingon, watching weird VR porn, listening to Jefferson Starship.
I'm surprised they didn't do one for TAS.
Could have done. I always thought it was funny that they didn't.
Yeah, that would have been because it's aimed towards kids, aimed towards the younger gen. So coulda, shoulda, wouldas.
Yeah. But anyway, I fucking hate Christmas. It's too close. My birthday's too close to Christmas, and as I've grown older, my birthday has become more and more shit. Because everyone's got to work at Christmas. And everyone's got kids now, so no one can go and get shit-faced 2 weeks before Christmas because they've got a family.
Oh.
I'm not spiteful. Fuck you. Anyway, if you are like me and you fucking hate Christmas too because it's fake and bullshit, well, maybe this year you can drown your sorrows with a bottle of authentic, genuinely licensed Romulan Ale. I'm so excited about this, Mike. Have you seen it?
I have. I've seen the bottles. It's made by the same company that do the wine, isn't it? And all the Canar stuff. Yeah.
So we've got 2 bottles of blue. We've got a vodka and we've got a whiskey. The vodka, vodka's fucking vodka. You can. Yeah. It's whatever.
Get Astor Price vodka. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's totally fine. But the whiskey. Ooh, no, I'm excited about this whiskey because the whiskey is blue, Mike. Presumably, they've just not aged the whiskey so that it would remain clear, and then they've introduced some sort of colorants into it.
Yeah.
I just want to read to you this.
So nice artificial flavoring or artificial colors just dropped into your whiskey.
Yeah.
About all keeping whiskey pure and, having those rock ice rather than ice so you don't dilute it. And they've just gone blue, that's fine.
Well, we've got a note on the rye whiskey, and it is rye whiskey, which is,
Okay, yeah.
It's hard. It's harder to mess up. The rye whiskey used in the Romulan Ale rye was designed from start to finish to be exceptional. Its roots are deep in history and technology. We started with an ultra-premium rye whiskey. A mash bill of 95% rye and 5% malted barley, which gives it a sweetness and flavor complexity after aging in newly charred white oak barrels. Next, we utilized a 150-year-old yeast strain. After aging it for 2 more years, just across the Ohio River from Kentucky, it was ready for bottling. But we took it a step further, and with second distilling process, created an ultra-smooth finish, even at a very high bottle proof. Doesn't it just sound good? They didn't write any copy for the fucking vodka.
No. They're like, vodka, it's vodka, you know.
It's vodka, just drink it.
Yeah.
But like
we made it in a toilet, like all vodka is made. We had it at a reasonably high proof, like all vodka is made, and then we watered it down, like all vodka is made. You know? That's pretty much what you can say about vodka, isn't it?
Yeah. They've opted for a, what is it? We've got it was ready for, but we took it a step further with second blah 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 blah. We opted for a rare and technologically advanced vacuum distillation process. Distillation under a vacuum creates lower temperatures, enhancing both flavor and aromatics.
See, I don't know enough about the production of whiskey, but by you know, a random guess, I would say that is more than 50% of whiskies are made in that way.
It's likely
because it's the same as the wine stuff, where they just get some cheap wine or reasonably cheap wine, throw it in a Picard bottle, and then sell it for $80 and go profit.
Yeah, I don't know much. I know some about the whiskey production. I've done the whiskey tour in Edinburgh twice. But yeah, I'm willing to bet that this is all just like basic shit that's just worded. It's verbose to cover up the fact that it's just fucking whiskey and blue curacao. But I'm excited.
Pricing wise, it was $75 for the vodka, $85 for the whiskey. So
hey, that's
would
not
you
too
pay
bad.
$85? I was saying, like, compared to the wine, where you can get a bottle of wine for £12 and it's a good bottle of wine, and they were selling it for £80 or $80. A whiskey for $80, I don't think is that bad. You're right.
No.
Yeah.
Like with an $80 bottle of whiskey is either a good bottle of whiskey or it's the kind of whiskey that you can have a conversation about, which is this. You know, it's blue. It comes in a bottle with Romulan script on it. Comes with a little spirit measure. You can use there's a discount code from trekmovie.com. You can use TrekMovie5. Use that, get some money off. I don't care about Trek Movie getting anything from it, but I do like people getting discounts. So yeah, excited about that. Get me that for Christmas, Mum.
Thank God, I thought you were going to say Mike.
No, get me Mum to do it.
Okay, good.
Well, if booze isn't your thing, if you've been put off drinking blue drinks by drinking too many blue drinks, maybe you could ask Santa to send you one of Exo-6's new Star Trek action figures. Now we got some previews a little while ago. We got to see like a Locutus coming up. A Mira Sulu.
Yeah,
a Guinan. And now Exo-6 are adding Shran, Krug, and Quark to the lineup. And they do look fantastic. And if you go over to Exo-6, exo6.com, or the website Entertainment Earth, where you can order the pre-orders, we've also got a Tuvok come in, we've got a Chakotay, we've got 7 of 9, we've got a nice Archer come in, and for $200, $220 for the 7 of 9. Man, they do look great, but $200.
Yeah.
$200 for an action figure, bro.
I mean, $200 is a lot of money. Yeah. To spend for a small doll.
Kind of like
Nah.
like remember the fucking yeah, nah. Remember the Nerf guns? $120 for a fucking Nerf gun.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you
This the trouble.
uh,
I think that there's a wider issue, and it's Trek more than Star Wars, but Star Wars is franchised, or toyed out to the max as well. Where toys initially were, supposed to be for kids, and they've realized that, collectors will pay money and they don't have to make as many, so they can get nicer margins and just not make anything for kids.
mhm.
And that's
Yeah,
not
just
how a franchise will live on, just being like, oh, we need these people who make their own money, these 40-year-olds willing to spend $220 for a little 7 and 9. Yeah.
yep, $250 for a Duplo bird of prey.
Yeah. That's the
Wow.
most egregious, where it's like clearly it's a
Yeah.
kids oriented toy.
Yeah,
Same as the Nerf.
Yeah, Duplo is Lego for children who can't grab small objects yet.
Yeah.
And the adverts have, it's just all adults looking at this child's toy.
Yeah.
And these action figures, they've got so many points of articulation and different heads. Remember the Riker with the fucking shit-eating grin?
Yeah.
But like, are any of these going to get used?
No.
Yeah.
At best, I tell you what they'll be at best in usage. They'll sit in the background of people's YouTube videos. The people who have shelves.
People are like, what like my Star Trek stamp collection?
Yeah, we're at a different level where we've both got the stamp collection somewhere. That was like £5 or something like that, rather than 220.
Yeah, right. Like Jesus Christ, that was a gift from members of the working class. Like, you can tell because it was cheap, it's cool, and it's functional.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, if I ever sent a letter, like,
No.
why not?
That, and I don't think at the end of this year they'd go out of date anyway, because all stamps need QR codes or something like that. So things turn into 100% collector's items then.
Cool. Yeah, if you have a loved one who's maybe dropping hints that they want this in their stocking this year, much like the Nerf guns, don't indulge them.
No, and consider separating your finances anyway, because you don't want to come home and then there's like 20 dolls staring at you and suddenly you can't eat.
And you start doing the maths.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, no. If your loved one wants to spend this kind of money on this hunk of plastic, they can do it out of their own funds. They don't need you to do it for them. So, hey, remember Star Trek Discovery? So, production has officially wrapped on Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Fausto Tejeda tweeted, "It's a wrap." That about does it for Season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. It was a wild, productive, and innovative journey over this past year. Thank you, team, for your amazing energy, skill, and dedication. Hashtags aplenty.
Yeah. Wow.
We got some cool pictures of, like, crew. Not so much cast. But yeah, that's a wrap.
Yeah. That's Anthony Rapp.
Yeah. It's crazy that they've wrapped the season so far ahead. Usually they wrap the season with like 2 weeks to spare before the season airs.
They're still doing it.
Yeah, they're still
the last episode they have to do live.
Yeah, the first season they were straight up filming like the second half of it when the first half aired.
Yeah, I think it's weird because with stuff with the volume, which Discovery is using and used fairly heavily last year, more of the work should be up front and there should be less end results, computer graphic-y, remove a background-y stuff work. But it seems like even though
very
they
technical
have to front
terms
look
there.
work.
That's what we called it when I studied film at
Yeah.
university.
Okay, they don't have to rotoscope characters out of green screen to put
No,
them
no,
onto a fake
no.
background.
You said it right the first time.
Yeah.
You said it right the first time.
Yeah, but and you have to build those assets to put in Unreal for the virtual environment that they're standing in. So you'd think it'd be a lot of work up front, but they seem to be breezing through the upfront work, relatively quickly.
Well, yeah, if you don't have to wait for the footage to scrub through, before you start working on the models and the backgrounds and the environments and stuff.
Yeah.
You can start working on that shit the second they decide to put it in the script, effectively.
Yeah.
And say, here's what it's going to be, and we don't need to, need to stick a human into this picture or build a picture around them. We can just make the picture and get the human to stand in front of it. Piece of piss.
Simple stuff. Why don't they do
Simple
it more
shit.
often?
Simple shit.
We make it sound so easy.
I know, but that's because we're leaving out the 100-odd years of rear projection technology and development that's got into it.
And the hundreds of hours of man work that goes to, can you just make me Vulcan so we can shoot on Vulcan?
Yeah.
Hand waved away.
Yeah.
No, it's good, and I look forward to it. I always think the best of a show. I didn't particularly like last season of Disco, but I look forward to this one.
But yeah, that's it for the news, man.
There's as we're moving towards the Prodigy, there was the news of the leak, which we're not going to really address. So, Nickelodeon Croatia. Apparently, Nickelodeon is a thing in Croatia. Has decided to release Prodigy this week's episode, next week's episode, and the week after this week. And they're releasing the last two next week. Are we going to discuss them? No. Is that in part because we couldn't get hold of them? Yes.
We looked. We can't find them.
We did both look. We were wondering if we could pre-tape some of this. Be aware if you're on the boards that there will be spoilers flying around.
Yeah, there's spoilers out there. There's an entire country, a country by the name of Croatia, who are by rights, rightfully, freely discussing everything that they have been allowed to watch.
Yeah.
But as we all know, the internet exists globally, so be careful.
Yeah, and there's always one person who derives pleasure from spoiling something for someone else, isn't there? Bastards, we call them, really.
Yeah, utter bastards. Yep.
Yeah.
Classic fucking, when you say it was Nickelodeon that did it.
Yeah.
I was like, clearly someone from Paramount Plus was covering for someone in Nickelodeon. Because didn't this happen with Strange New Worlds here in the UK?
No, what Strange New Worlds did is they'd fucked up, unsurprisingly, on Paramount. Paramount Plus released here when Strange New Worlds was already half a season in. And they put up episode 1 and 2, and then episode 7 came out in the US, and they just decided to put episode 7 up in the UK at the same time. So you'd have episode 1, 2, and 7 on the platform.
Yep.
Which, it's their own fault. It's their own time they're wasting by deciding to do country rollouts as they do country rollouts.
No, it's not. It's an entire country of fucking Trekkies' time that they're wasting because, they know for a fact that we've already watched it.
Yeah.
And they could, they showed that they could have given it to us at the time, but they decided not to. They weren't just wasting their own time. They were wasting everyone else's.
Yeah. Us having to find it, extra legally, let's say, is a real pain compared to just putting it up on a platform that, at the time, I was buying. Yeah. What can we say? But should we talk about the actual fucking episode?
Oh, actually, no. I forgot. There was one more piece of news that I wanted to mention that I forgot to list, and it was I mentioned it to you. I love a Star Trek spoof. I love a Star Trek parody, and I recently discovered the Star Trek parody created by the folks over at It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. It's called Boldly Going Nowhere. They made it in like 2011. And I watched it. They put it up on YouTube a couple of months ago, and honestly, it's so funny. I thought it's so funny. As funny as some of the less funny episodes of Avenue 5, but there were a couple of like standout gags. You said you'd seen it. Have you watched the full episode?
I have, but I watched it years ago because there were ways to get it extra legally years ago.
Yeah.
Because, as you say, it was filmed 09, 010. Well,
I think 2000. Yeah, something like that.
Some around then, anyway. But like the stuff with Caitlin Olsen and stuff like that, I just thought was not particularly funny at all. So I'm like, Always Sunny is way up here, and then that's down here.
Right. So like there's a couple of jokes like a lot of the stuff to do with Caitlin Olsen and stuff. All jokes that are executed much better in like Avenue 5. Avenue 5 is one of my favourite shows at the minute. So funny.
I promise I will get round to it. I haven't watched any so far. I know the premise, but I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's so good. But I often talk about I like a little window into the multiverse. I like seeing something that could have been. This is an interesting little window into something that could have been. Yeah. They made it in 2009. I'm just looking on the Wikipedia page. Yeah. Howerton revealed that the pilot was being rewritten with Seinfeld writer Larry Charles. So not Larry David, but the beardy guy.
What's the deal with all these warp engines? Sort of.
That guy. Yeah. Well, yeah, so he was going to rewrite the pilot. The Wikipedia page says to include more science fiction elements like aliens and world building for future episodes. The series underwent sporadic development over the next several years, but no further filming was done. But yeah, if for fans of Star Trek and fans of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, it's there and it's fun. It's got Artemis and cricket. It's got cameos by all the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia crew.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting to watch, even if I wasn't overjoyed with it or didn't think it was fantastic. I think it's an interesting watch.
I loved it. I fucking howled laughing. There's the scene where the security chief takes they've got a lieutenant played by Glenn Howerton inspecting the ship, and the security chief, he's basically like, what else do you contribute to the running of the ship? And then we cut away to another scene. Then we cut back to him just doing a bodybuilder exposition where he's just he's all.
You have no idea what's going on aboard this ship. You want the truth? I'll show you the truest thing your eyes have ever seen. Lights!
Great fun.
Yeah.
After you've finished watching Star Trek Prodigy with the kids, send them to bed, and watch Boldly Going Nowhere.
Yeah. But shall we talk about this week's Prodigy? Season 1, Episode 15, Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the episode?
I thought it was thoroughly enjoyable. Obviously, no spoilers.
Yeah,
right
no spoilers.
But yeah, it was fun. We got some cool Romulan stuff. I do like Romulans. I like this Romulan. She the like the leader of the Romulan squad. Yeah. Oh no, we did get more O'Connor.
We did.
We've still got O'Connor.
Mm-hmm.
O'Connor.
He's Irish, don't you know?
He's I mean, it's a hard episode to talk about without getting into spoilers.
Yeah.
But in general, kids learning lessons as they go.
Yeah, it's there were parts in this, or one or two parts that were very edutainment-y, I thought. I think it moves a lot of the overall mysteries or the plot of the series on.
Yeah, we do get some rather intense revelations.
Yeah, intense. Yeah. As for the actual, the cohesiveness of the story itself, I think it was, fine rather than good. I think everything else was good. But yeah. Mm-hmm. So some of it graphically, like there was a bit where, again, it's not spoilers, but the Romulan commander or whatever gets knocked down and the camera zooms towards their face, and it looks like it's from a somewhat better graphically, but the camera movement is straight out of like the animated Beast Wars. Do you remember that from back in the day?
Yeah. Hard zooms.
Yeah. It's I don't think it's like the best. I don't know whether you call it direction when it's animated like this, but I don't think it's the best shooting. Or
there were parts of some of the animation this week that kind of like sometimes the show like, and I think it's a sign of good animation where it kind of sometimes looks a bit like stop motion.
Yeah.
It kind of like in parts almost looks like
there's one or
highly
two times
sophisticated models
where they're walking and it looks like the walk model isn't quite right, and I'm like, because unfortunately I did manage to get to watch this twice. And it's like, it's not 100% there. You know how Clone Wars it's pretty indistinguishable. You see someone walking and you go like, oh, they're just walking. This, it's like, as you say, stop motion, where you get the kind of like, it's not 100% natural movement.
I don't mind it. I think it's stylistic.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
But do we want me to do the episode rundown and then we can do spoilers?
Hell yeah.
And I'll warn you that it is, I think it's slightly longer today, because it's a bit of an all over the place episode, really.
Kind of.
So the Prodigy is hiding in the neutral zone as the crew look for somewhere to repair the ship. O'Connor takes them to Noblia, a sketchy planet. Jacob and Zero stay on the ship to do repairs while the rest of the crew and O'Connor head down to the planet to explore. O'Connor takes them to a geneticist to explain he lost her cargo, but the geneticist is more interested in Dal because of his strange origin, telling him he's an augment of human and 26 other races built by Arik Soon's proteges. She offers him a chip to activate his dormant DNA and make him better. Because he's sad, thinking he's a failed experiment, he takes it. The Romulans have come to the same planet and apprehend the Protostar crew, and O'Connor runs away. Dal maximizes his chip, kung fu's the Romulans to death using his Klingon genes, but maximizing the chip is making him rapidly mutate. Vice Admiral Janeway has spoken to Jellicoe and has been told not to go into the neutral zone for the Protostar, but to destroy it if the Romulans get it. She sees the Romulans trying to apprehend the Protostar crew again and fires a torpedo at it to destroy it. But Murph kung fu's the Romulans again, and Janeway diverts the torpedoes at the last second. Back at the Protostar, the chip is extracted from Dal, and Murph is made into the new security officer. And on the Dauntless, Dun dun dun. Essentia is a spy of the same species as the Diviner, sent back in time as well to get the ship, and she's smuggled Dreadnought onto the Dauntless. Dun dun dun.
Crazy shit.
Crazy shit.
Crazy shit.
Reveals.
Okay. What should we talk? Should we talk about?
Let's do the biggest reveal first, I suppose, which is Essentia. The fancy booted, fancy gloved ensign on the USS Dauntless. Is a diviner or diviner species, which I've forgotten the name from instantly. It's like Vatnot or something like that.
Yeah, crazy shit. So the diviner was not the only one sent back.
Yeah.
What do you think they did?
I'm glad that she had the things on her head, because initially I was like, oh, it's older Gwen. Like,
Yeah.
older Gwen got sent back as well. I'm like, no, of course not.
Phew.
Looks too similar character model for me. I'm that stupid.
Do we think there's more? Is there more?
Well, apparently they could be fucking spies everywhere. They're changelings, or their ability to change shape into, different species forms. So,
and maintain that facade for however long.
yeah.
So do we think Essentia was always, or do we think that there was a real Essentia at some point, and that this diviner lady came back and killed her and assumed her identity?
I think possibly Essentia has always been, because the diviner went back in time about 15 years before this episode, and was on Tars Lamor for 15 odd years. So if she came back to the same extent, Essentia or whatever her real name is, then yeah, she was probably young enough to go through the academy and stuff like that, and earn her place properly rather than just killing someone and sneaking in. She's a hell of a spy, though,
Yeah, man, real The Americans shit.
Yeah.
Manchurian candidate as fuck.
That and not giving the game away last week, 'cause she ran into Gwyn, didn't she? And she's like, Gwyn? You mean Gwendolyn? I've been talking to your father,
Yeah. Not like, Gwendolyn, I'm your mother's cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was trying to I watched that clip again to be like, okay, could she have just knocked Gwyn down, changed form, and just gone like, where is the ship? At that point, and not really. So it still makes sense in that sort of bit, that she was still undercover then.
That makes sense. So I guess everyone has a dreadnought. Is dreadnought like the diviner's species version of like Alexa then?
Well, last time they decided to put episodes out a year ago, Dreadnought got transferred to the Protostar, and he was just built by the Replicator, wasn't he? If you remember. So apparently Dreadnought is something that you can replicate anyway. So there could be infinite Dreadnoughts everywhere. I didn't see it coming at all, though, like Dreadnought coming out of the table and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, like that reveal was not telegraphed at all.
Yeah.
That reveal definitely came somewhat out of left field.
And now
I'm
we
sure
know
some
why
people...
she gets new boots that no one else has.
Yeah, she brought them from the future.
Yeah, future boots.
Those kinds of red cowboy boots won't be invented until 2585.
We don't have the technology for cowboy boots.
Not red ones.
No.
That was cool, but we got the second big reveal, which is Dal's origins.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite mind blowing. He's GMO.
Yeah, and he's human. He's a human augment.
Yeah.
With apparently 26 races shoved into him, including Klingon, we see, Vulcan, we see, Andorian, Tellarite. He mentions that he feels like he's growing a third arm, like in Arix, like the Adosian from TAS.
Yeah.
Real interesting. I desperately hope we don't get Arix soon at all.
We'll get a Soong probably. Every show gets a Soong.
Yeah. At least one nowadays.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still think it's like the good bit of it as well. It's not like a full reveal of everything about him. Like, we still don't know who really made him, other than maybe an Arix Soong protege. Still don't know how he got to Tars Lamor or into the Delta Quadrant. All that stuff is up in the air and, still pretty interesting, really. So
yeah,
this has changed me from like being not that interested in his origin to being fairly interested in his origin, as long as we don't see Soong.
Yeah, the whole, he kind of runs away a bit with the conclusion that he lands on the conclusion that because he's genetically modified, genetically augmented, genetically engineered, that he doesn't have any parents. I'm not necessarily sure that that's actually the case. It's a fair conclusion for him to jump to, but could be setting us up for another plot twist.
And he jumps to the "I was a failed experiment" as well, and you go like, not necessarily. I mean,
no.
The doctor there, the geneticist, whatever her name is, Dr. Jargo or whatever, says like it's a wonder that you're able to talk. So
fucking hell.
Yeah.
Woo!
Fucking, way to hit a guy when he's down, where it's like,
I know.
You should be like mentally incapable of doing anything.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So what do we think about that? The scientist and all this like genetic experimentation going on this planet, because obviously we're in the neutral zone, not subject to Federation laws. That I had never considered the possibility of a society existing in the neutral zone.
Yeah, believe me, I've got something to say on it. I've got something to say on that later.
So go for it.
I don't think generally, and this goes back to TNG, the writers get what a neutral zone is.
No, I don't think they do.
When the Dauntless is facing off against the Warbirds, they are like kilometers away from each other. You look out of Janeway's window and they're there. So are the Romulans on our side, the neutral zone, the Federation side? Or are they sitting on their side, just waiting, shaking their fist and saying, "You better not come over here"? And is that's got to be the real thinnest part of the neutral zone then, if planets exist in the neutral zone. So what is happening? What is a neutral zone? And then Janeway, later in the episode, just fires torpedoes into the neutral zone, which seems like the most outrageous thing you can do.
Totally.
Yeah. She's just like, "Oh, it's a neutral zone. I tell you what we'll do. Bomb it."
I mean, if you think about like the closest real world analog that I can think of would be the DMZ between North and South Korea.
Yeah.
And like, North Korea makes signs of aggression all the time.
Yeah.
In this instance,
they don't tend to launch missiles in the
They do. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, they don't launch them in the neutral zone, though. They launch them towards China or over the ocean towards China.
Yeah. But yeah, the
absolutely mental.
It is. It does. It's on the level with like the Next Generation's repeated misunderstanding of how evolution works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But about TNG, as I was saying, this isn't new, because in TNG you'd see ships facing each other across the neutral zone, and you go like, well, how thin is the neutral zone then?
Yeah.
Because if you can with a telescope see into the next ship across, then it's probably like too thin a zone. You know, I don't want to tell you how to write a treaty, but if you can see the ship, it's probably too close.
Unless it is literally like as you said last week, you know, Romulans literally stepping across the street into your garden, saying, "Don't touch my fence."
Yeah,
like maybe that is actually what's happening, and yeah.
So crazy. And then we do see a map later on, and it does look like the protostar, it's got two icons in the map, one on the Federation side and one on the Romulan side. And I'm like, is that the Romulan ships or is that the protostar? Who knows? Because if it's the protostar, then it's in Romulan space and it's all good. But that breaks the story in that Janeway is then spying on Romulan space rather than the ships in the neutral zone, and she's just firing into Romulan space. So I don't think they get it, what a neutral zone is supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, like I'm trying to reason it out that like, well, maybe the Romulans are allowed into the neutral zone, but then I'm like, no, I'm thinking, I'm giving it like a modicum extra thought than maybe the writer staff had, and at that point, you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
The
closest thing I was trying to think of it was like the DS9, like the Maquis systems or whatever, where that's in like a traded system. So is the neutral zone that everyone can go into it? But then why do the Federation say that they can't go into it? I don't get it. Why does Jellicoe really have a hard-on for not going into it? Don't get it. Yeah. But where were we with Dal before I had a rant on
Romulans? Let's talk about
Romulans.
the Romulans. The Romulans were cool.
Yeah.
They're badass. We got a cool fight scene between the Romulans and Dal when Dal's, Dal opts to, he opts to undergo invasive surgery or non-invasive surgery. But we got a cool fight scene with him and the Romulans. Well, we've skipped past Dal's actual choice, actually.
Yeah, so he gets presented with he starts to think that he's a mistake or, a failure, a failed experiment sort of thing, and gets presented with, you can release the all the dormant genes of yourself and make you better. And he, behind his friend's back, he decides to do that. Obviously the bad choice. From sketchy, back alley surgeon sort of thing.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that episode of Futurama where Fry gets worms.
Yeah.
From eating dodgy sushi, and they make him, and the worms take over his system and make him better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's there was a lot of frustration last week because we're watching these kids in this situation handle a very delicate situation in a very ham-fisted way because they're kids.
Yeah.
But in this episode, I don't feel as though, I feel like Dal is misguided, but he's not misguided in a way that a child is misguided. He's misguided in a way that a lot of people can he falls into a trap that a lot of people do, which is this idea that they can fix problems that they have. They can fix deep inner issues with superficial situations. Yeah. Superficial solutions.
Yeah. Even the idea that you need fixing as someone, someone different. He's viewing it like people who volunteer or put themselves into, because we were talking LGBT stuff before, into those, they don't call them re-education camps. What do they call them?
Like
Pray the Gay Away and shit like that.
Pray the Gay Away and stuff.
Yeah.
And like it's on that level, but it's it's also on the level of, I'm from Harrogate. Harrogate's like a nice town. And I tell you what, I've seen it's so full of bars and restaurants and old folks' homes and care homes, like health and beauty shops and plastic surgeons.
Yeah.
And like I've seen, and I see it, all the time at work here in Leeds. Like I see so many people that like, and like I've got no qualms against anyone undergoing any kind of body modification, because. It's something that they want. You see, people that get piercings all over their face. They understand that when they make that choice, they've got a lot of adjustments to make in their life. Like they can't sleep face down.
Yeah.
And
I don't know.
That's
where
a
you
choice
see the
that
ones where like people get plastic surgery to look like David Beckham, and they
Right.
have a million plastic surgeries, and they look closer to like a 1970s Ken doll version of David Beckham. I don't know. I think that like Hippocratic Oath should kick in and go
that can be somewhat unsettling.
You probably need some like more mental help than plastic surgery help.
But even before you get to that point, especially with young women trying to get to a certain standard that is completely arbitrary, that they're and it's a standard that I've never, like, I think that people are beautiful, and I think all different kinds of people can be beautiful.
Yeah.
But I don't subscribe to the idea of beauty that a lot of young women are trying to attain by undergoing certain procedures. So like, I can't. On the one hand, I'm like, it's your body. You totally do that, but at the same time, it creates a worry on this idea of beauty and wanting to attain this idea and wanting to fit into this idea of what's acceptable.
Yeah.
So yeah, it made me think a lot about that, and like, these are all abstract nonsense ideas that don't actually help any of the internal struggles that you might be going through. Just because you look a certain way isn't going to change how you feel necessarily. The only thing that can really affect your happiness is money. Scientifically proven, like that. Wealth is what makes you happy. Wealth and strong community bonds.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I do think the episode could have pushed that a bit more. Like, I know it pushed it, but I don't think the relation to, and it's a great message to get out there for young people who the show is mainly for, that, be happy in who you are. And you're saying on the body modification front, you can be happy. You don't have to try and fit in to what you imagine a state of whatever is. And I don't know how you do it more, but I don't think I globbed onto it particularly well, the message.
Yeah. If you wanna fill your face with piercings because you think it's cool, then cool. But if you're doing it because you want people to think that you're cool, maybe want to reevaluate it.
Or that you think, not as well as that, if you think that as you are at the moment, you're hideous or uncool just because how you look,
right,
then you need to, please, I can put some numbers up here or whatever, but as we said, and who sang the song? Was it Christina Aguilera or something like that? Beautiful, people are like pretty beautiful in themselves. Like, you don't need to change everything about you to fit into a beauty standard that you see elsewhere in the world.
Yeah. I think we're getting dangerously close to the moral of the episode, but we've still got some stuff to discuss.
Yeah.
Jellicoe.
Yeah. Jellicoe.
How do you think the actor managed to make his? How do you think, as an actor, how do you think he managed to like portray his character as being so old?
I don't know. I didn't think he was that old. I thought
he sounded so old.
No, I thought his voice.
God damn it, Janeway.
He's like 90 now, and his voice
is 90.
Is like still pretty young.
I know. I mean, in Star Trek, 90 can be young.
Yeah, I suppose.
But yeah, man, he definitely sounds old as fuck.
Yeah, I thought it was a quite good likeness of him. He's got that real thin mouth that like opens up like a fish mouth. I'm like, oh, that's the face that you want to hit. That is Ronnie Cox's face. That's Terminator's, not Terminator, RoboCop's own Ronnie Cox. You want to just smack him in the face.
Yeah, one of those, one of the most punchable faces of the 80s for sure.
Yeah. I thought incredible. Like, and I think it's interesting in that we haven't necessarily seen Janeway had someone above her to tell her no and don't break the rules. Because, like, if this Janeway was, or if Janeway from Voyager, the TV show, was just in the Delta Quadrant and someone took Chakotay and she was searching for him, she would go in whatever species
100%,
it was.
100%, 100%. Borg space, we're going in. Like, no, fuck that. No, you're right. It is interesting to see Janeway following orders.
Yeah. And we hear so there was a companion audio log as well where she mentions that she doesn't want to disrupt the Romulan peace because Picard wouldn't forgive her as well, because Picard at this time is working out the evacuation of Romulus stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So which does, in many ways kind of solidify where and when we are. So we're about a year out from I did some digging. I've been watching the anime series Lupin the Third.
Yeah.
Well, I've been doing some digging. That's the thing. So we're about a year out from the android uprising on Mars.
Yeah, we're 2383 at the moment in Prodigy. The attack on Mars.
84 I read.
It turned 23 2 episodes ago, I think.
All right, okay.
It was 2382 like at the start of the season.
Okay.
And the attack on Mars is 2385, and the destruction of Romulus is 2387.
Yes.
Just to confuse things as well, Lower Decks started 2380, is now up to 2382. So next season of Lower Decks is during Prodigy.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting parallels, because this kind of really puts into perspective just how long the supernova of the Romulan sun was known about, and just how long preparations were being made but not fully followed through with. And it really reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. Oh, climate change.
Oh yeah, of course.
Nah, that was it. Oh, yeah. Never mind. No one wants to hear about it.
I think
no one wants to. No, let's not talk about it. No one wants to hear about climate change.
Not on the climate change.
We don't want to think
front.
about it.
Not on the climate change front, but like Picard leaves the Enterprise E in 2381 to start working on evacuating Romulus and the systems around it. So they knew for at least 6 years that Romulus was going to go supernova. And then the Federation pulls out in 5 years into that, or 2385. There's still a year, 2 years between the supernova, and the Romulans are still like, you didn't save us. And it's like, what were the Romulans doing to move their people out?
You've got loads of massive ships.
Yeah, I don't want to victim blame, but at the same time, you are a space empire as well. Move your people. Or move some of your people yourself.
Those are military ships for combat. Those are not population transport vessels.
No.
Those are instruments of war.
But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Just how much money governments around the world spend on military budgets rather than sustainable energy and recycling processes.
Yeah.
Sons of bitches.
Sons of bitches. Yeah. Those idiots.
Sorry.
So like gets told not to go into the neutral zone, but again, we see the Romulans into the neutral zone. So did they pass it first? Would that let Janeway go in? And then fires torpedoes into the neutral zone, and you go, okay, cool. It's a weird thing for Ronnie Cox to say, and the Essentia twist. It's not set up, but Essentia in the episode is like, oh, let me go into the neutral zone as a spy. Let me do that sort of thing, and I'll get the ship.
Yeah, that felt like that's. I was like, no, that's not a good idea.
Yeah.
And then when we got the twist, I'm like, what was she doing with that? What was the aim there? I'm thinking just maybe the aim was like just to look eager. I think she was just trying to look eager. Or she was trying to get the ship, trying to get hold of the kids, trying to get her hands on Gwyn.
Yeah.
Or something. I did like how when the Dauntless fired those torpedoes to blow up the protostar, but then they realized that the kids had defeated the Romulans. It was cool when Blob, what's his name? Globule. Murph.
Yeah.
When Murph went all fucking just went all fucking and went all flubber and beat the fuck out of them.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But yeah, when Janeway redirects the missiles.
Yeah.
And when they blow up without hurting anyone, the crew of the Dauntless are like, yes!
You're like, okay.
They're just like, listen, we've been following these kids, and we're kind of invested.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the kids, when the torpedoes are coming towards them, are like, oh, what now? And then they blow up, and they're like, okay. We don't know who fired them at us.
Never mind. As I say at work all the time, just gonna wait for that to become a problem.
Yeah.
If it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Murph front, do you think it's weird they call him him? Because, like, they started doing it last episode, and I've been calling them them.
Yeah.
Because it's not clear, to me at least, and I don't think to them, that Murph is a he, and they're just like, oh, this Murph dude, him, he.
Maybe that little sprout on his forehead
is his dick.
Is his dick. Maybe.
Yeah. He's got a little tiny dick on him.
Yeah. Well, like there's male and female plants. He's got a sprig on his head.
They've also made him weapons officer, and it's like
immediately.
Okay, I mean, last week he fired torpedoes when you didn't want him to, and he's of all the crew, he's the most childlike, and you're like, this is the person we want in front of weapons.
Right, at the start of the episode, when it just cuts to Murph just like, woo!
Yeah.
That was like my favourite moment.
Yeah.
Like right there, that was so funny.
Yeah.
Just like, woohoo! Pew pew! It just looked like, I was like, in my mind, I'm picturing with like 6 guns and just been like, woohoo!
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
that
like,
was fun. And he's security officer.
And he's security officer. And he, sometimes he's in a hamster ball just to keep him under control.
Oh, so funny.
But I am glad that he did the metamorphosis, as they keep saying it is.
Nice.
Because, like, he wasn't a character for me beforehand. They'd just leave him about because he'd be a slug that was, like, clogging up the shot. And you're like, now he can actually do something. He actually has a personality to him that's not just going...
Mm-hmm. Just like Flubber.
Yeah, just like Flubber again.
Mm-hmm. O'Connor! We haven't talked about O'Connor, the shit.
Yeah. So he references his TNG episode when Dal has his mind-reading powers up. And O'Connor's saying, I did it to get these lovers together. And Dal's rightly going like, oh, but you also used it to, like, fuck around on the Enterprise, didn't you? You were doing it for love of yourself, not for love of them necessarily.
You were doing it because it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just drops these kids and, like, runs off.
Yeah, what did you think about that turn?
I mean, it makes sense for a roguish character. I think it's weird if that's the last thing we see of him.
Yeah, I think we should expect a Han Solo-esque return in the nick of time. Like at the end of A New Hope. I think we should expect this guy to return just in the nick of time.
Yeah, the protostars going down the trench run of Tars Lamor, and he swings in to save them. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Fine. Good.
Better add, otherwise he's a complete bastard.
Yeah, he's left these kids to die. He's just
fucking hell.
Yeah, he's just like, the Romulans who torture people and disappear them. Okay, great, bye. Woo. Yeah.
Hey. Well, I found these unsupervised kids, and you
Yeah.
know who loves supervising shit? Fascists.
Yeah.
Yeah. Leave them with them. Sound.
The Romulans, they did the Clone Wars trick of it's cheaper to make one model or 2 models for people.
Yep.
Everyone wears helmets except for the commander.
Yep.
Yeah, that seems like a trick very, very heavily borrowed from Clone Wars, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, except Clone Wars and Rebels would have killed them. Like, the fact that when they got kicked off the lifts and they activated their jets and flew off. If this was Clone Wars, or like there is an episode of Rebels where like there even like someone kicks a stormtrooper off and it cuts to a wide shot and we just see the stormtrooper fall down a chasm. Like, and it's like a really long shot of like
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Well, they're fascists. Kill them, it's fine.
Yeah, fuck it. Kill them, they're fascists. Fuck them. But it's a kids' show. We can't show them murdering people every episode.
Yeah, they did some last week, so...
Yeah, they took care of a couple of Zindi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, like, the jetpack situation, we got another space elevator and another skydive past the space elevator. So...
Such a weird legacy
for
Star Trek 09 to leave on the franchise.
Yeah. It's just like, thank God lens flares isn't in every show now, but it's just like, okay, what thing can we pick out of Star Trek 09 to put in Discovery? We can put it in Lower Decks, we can put it in Prodigy. We'll probably make Picard do it next season. What can we take?
I can't wait to see 100-year-old Jean-Luc Picard's fucking base jump off a platform in space.
Yeah, just like all the skin just
and be completely fine after.
yeah. And it's like, no, we'll take skydiving. We'll take that one scene where they landed on the drilling platform, and we'll just use that in every show now. It's fantastic. And if you're watching this, then or if you watch this maybe a day or two after it comes out, I'll put a compilation up of all those skydive situations, because I do think it's quite funny that we're a base jumping franchise now. Star Trek base jumps. We're cool, damn it.
What was it? Star Trek, there was Into Darkness, there was one in the pilot Discovery.
Yeah.
Lower Decks. This one. God.
See, I didn't know whether to count the pilot for Discovery, because I was like, is that more Spock going into Vija?
Because it's that.
No, because it's like with the jetpack on, it's like Spock going into Vija.
Yeah, but she gives it a woohoo.
Oh, does she? Okay.
She gives it a woohoo.
Yeah.
She woohoos. She's skydiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll add it in then. I'll add her and Spock in. Why not? Hey. Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah. So weird. The edutainment, Rock seeing lightning and be like, put away your metal. That was heavy edutainment to me. I was just like, okay,
Yep.
Because I don't know where they pitch it. They're like pitching it where Dal is saying like crazy long words, and then Rock is going like, no, there is lightning. Put your metal down. So it's a bit weird.
But like the big long words, like they weren't like.
They weren't
explaining what the words
understood.
mean.
Yeah. And like O'Connor is your view into that if you're a kid, where he just goes like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get the edutainment in there somewhere, Like Doctor Who. Doctor Who always loves to edutain the kids.
Yes, it does. It does. And then my last note is Janeway's quarters has a model of Voyager in it. So, classic. Cisco had his whatever model. Picard had the Saratoga, not the Saratoga. He had
all of them gold ones that he smashed up in.
No! That's in the meeting room. In his quarters, he's got his Stargazer model. So, like, captains having their old ship is, like, I don't know, pretty standard now, and Janeway keeps that go by having the Voyager. Yeah. A big-ass one as well.
Still can't believe they don't sell those.
Well, now Eagle Moss is down, they don't sell anything ship-wise.
They don't sell shit.
Yeah, they don't sell ship. Yeah, that's my notes for the episode done, other than the messages. Any other notes from yourself?
Nope. In general, like, I guess the the biggest moment for this episode for me was, it was all, I'm very intrigued to see where everything with Dal and Dal's lineage takes us. Like, that's going to be an interesting journey.
And the Essentia stuff as well. This I think this is the most interesting episode there's been of Prodigy so far.
Yes.
Or the one where I go, I want to know more. Like the other ones, I was like, okay, whatever. But now I actually want to know more, which is, good setup.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the message of the episode. So, what did you have for messages? They were fairly underlined by Rock at the end, weren't they? Yeah.
So, in terms of I guess light on messaging this week. Often me and you both come up with an individual message, but I guess the message for this episode, which I think is quite a timely message, again, talking about everything that happened in Colorado last
Yeah.
week. That idea that, Dahl is who he is, and that he doesn't need to change who he is because he's great just the way he is, just who he is. I
And
wanted
your friends
to
love you for who you are. They don't,
yeah.
And
That's the thing, talking again about, what we were talking about before about trying to attain an ideal that that you think will improve your life. Like, the people that care about you in your life, they're going to care about you no matter what. People aren't going to start thinking that you're more important just because you fit a certain ideal.
No.
No one who's worth your time anyway. But I did, watching this episode, that being the lesson of, people, Dahl is good enough just being who he is. He doesn't need to change.
Are you leading into a final end? Because
do you want to
there's one other thing that's pitched as a message of the episode, which I think is weird, which Rock says science rules, as in science rules and science has rules. That's a bit weird for a kid's show, don't you think?
Do you know what? I actually, to be honest, that is fair enough. Honestly, the thing is, not to be a big stinky atheist about everything. But science does have rules. The laws of physics, but they are not things that are set in stone.
But in the episode, it's pitched as moral rules, which I think is weird in a kids show where you're told, where she's saying it has rules. It's like, oh, don't genetically experiment on yourself, which I understand in the context of that's a good science rule, but it's weird to pitch it as, for young inquisitive minds, that science has rules and don't go outside those rules. In my opinion, at least.
I see what you're saying with that, but I think maybe what they were trying to say was and in the broad spectrum, science as a field does have an obligation. It has an obligation to the truth, and the way that you obtain the truth is through the scientific method. And the scientific method isn't necessarily something that is set in stone, but it is a thing that garners consistent results.
Yeah.
And so by that, it is wise to follow those rules.
There are rules in how you conduct science. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. But maybe that's why the message wasn't hitting me incredibly well, that side of it, in that it's not presented as there are rules in how you do science. It's just, there are certain sciences that you don't touch, or this science we have off limits.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I mean, it's, we are talking about Star Trek, and Star Trek, the Federation does have a fucking weird bug up its butt about augmentation.
Yeah.
So.
Which makes sense when Dal went through the scanner and it was alert Starfleet about this person who'd gone through your scanner.
Oh my god, he might be a Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. That did make sense. When we got that revelation,
Yeah. But sorry for interrupting. Back to what you were saying on the messaging.
No, that's fine. Yeah. So, Dahl, in this episode, Dahl learns that he doesn't need to change who he is to attain an arbitrary idea that he's decided on. He's perfect just the way he is. And that's an important sentiment in the wake of what's happened in Colorado. Club Q from all reports on the situation, Club Q wasn't just a gay bar. It was, by the sounds of it, it was a real safe haven for the queer community, for a lot of the young people in the queer community, and like we were talking before, that there is a loud portion of the population who thinks that there is something wrong with that community. But there's nothing wrong with that community. Wilson Cruz put out on Instagram. He put out a poem by someone called Jay Hume, and it's called "Jesus at the Gay Bar." And I just wanted to read it to you because it echoes the sentiment of the episode.
Yeah.
Jesus at the gay bar. He's here in the midst of it, right at the center of the dance floor, robes hitched up to his knees to make it easy to spin. At some point in the evening, a boy will touch the hem of his robes and beg to be healed, beg to be anything other than this. And he will reach his arms out, sweat damped and weary from dance. He'll cup this boy's face in his hands and say, "My beautiful child, there is nothing in this heart of yours that ever needs to be healed." And I think that
is
an incredibly important message. Very timely. If there are, young people out there who are scared of how the world will receive them, they need to know that there's nothing wrong with them.
Especially, the younger you are, the more important that message is. When you're young, you're locked into a school or a high school or a college or whatever, and you're forced to be around the same sort of people, and you don't have the chance to, or you don't have as much chance to go out and be in a place that you want to be. But when you get the chance to go out and be where you want and get out from terrible home environments that a lot of people unfortunately do have to go through, things do get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah,
important message. And thanks for bringing your the poem of the day.
Yeah. It's a great poem. Jay Hume is the man who wrote that. Yeah.
Great. Shall we leave it on that very important message then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should.
Then, very somberly, because I don't want to change gears too much. The like, subscribe, do all that on the YouTube. If you're listening to us, we also have the YouTube, which I put up some pictures into it as well if we're referring to stuff. Do all that and tell a friend. So,
yeah.
Be nice to each other. Jesus.
Be nice to each other. Be kind to one another.
Yeah.
One thing I forgot: if you can spare any money, if you go to coloradogives.org/story/Club Q, you can donate some money to the community over in Colorado to help with repairs and with medical expenses of some of the victims of the shooting. Is all there.
Yeah. As always, congratulations the US in, as well as being, or some people being backwards in their ideology, being backwards when it comes to healthcare as well, where someone can shoot you and you have to pay for fixing yourself up. Congratulations.
Yep, all the best and worst things in the world happen in America.
Yep. Yeah. But on that,
Yep. Anson Mount tweeted out a picture of a turkey doing the Vulcan salute. So,
Yeah.
So for Thanksgiving, I will echo Anson Mount's tweet and say,
Gobble gobble.
Live long and gobble, motherfuckers."
Oh, and peace and long life, double dumbasses.